back from our long hiatus to the unknown film enthusiasts. Today we're going to be looking at Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom because our podcast kingdom has fallen and now we're going to build it back up from the ashes of a pyroclastic flow. I am Zach, and to the left of me,
I am Nick.
and to the right,
I'm Dan.
Alright, so today we're going to be talking about a very in middle of the road film. And so we're going to start out talking about basically the scores that are out on the internet, and then we'll go into our own personal feelings about, our view of the film.
So
yeah.
With this fresh movie that we just saw within the past 3 hours, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 51% and an audience score of 55%. So both pretty much in agreement there.
Not dismal, but not
Yeah.
glowing by any means.
And then for the IMDb score, it got a 6.6 out of 10.
And these middle-of-the-road reviews were also seen on Metacritic, where I believe it also got around a 50, and on Roger Ebert's website, which it has a 2 out of 4 stars, which I think kind of fits. I get the feeling that you two don't really agree with me, and if we just want to go over like general thoughts, we can start with you, Dan, and then just work our way across.
Okay, to kind of just jump right into it, I really like this movie because even within the first 10 minutes, you're kind of just thrown into the action, and then it is essentially continuous throughout the film. And I was pretty much glued to the screen, and it really brought back more of the horror-esque vibes that a lot of the older movies had that I think some of these newer ones sort of lacked. So
Okay.
it was good.
Yeah, I was a fan of the first film, and now coming into this one, I definitely...
The first meaning...
The first Jurassic World.
Okay.
First Jurassic World. So then coming into this, I thought it was a different kind of take on it, I suppose. Or I liked the fact that it was a monster film, where it was this monster was trying to get somebody. And I know that it only came in probably about halfway through the film, but I just kind of liked that, and
During the second movie part of it, after they finished remaking Lost World.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get into that. But yeah, I was very excited for the first Jurassic World, and then when I saw it, I realized, oh, this is not the thing that I thought I was gonna get, and it is, like you said, it's like a monster movie. So this movie, I had very much lowered expectations, and still came out. I had fun. I'm more likely to rewatch this one than Jurassic World because it feels like it did something different. But all in all, I'm just extremely disappointed in everything that happened.
Okay.
And we can go into that further when we go into our full-scale review. So if you want, now that we've done generals, you want to go into spoilers?
Yes. From now on, spoilers is going to happen.
Okay, so spoiler section starting right now.
Alright, so let's actually delve into the film now.
Alright, so my biggest complaint is, first off, the tone of the movie. Where I thought, first 5 minutes, it started off, it was very, over-the-top horror, but I really liked the shots and the composition of it, but everything kind of felt over the top while also trying to keep this horror thing, and I felt that was good in the beginning, and then it got really wacky for about an hour, and then extreme downers at certain points, and then it turned into a gothic horror movie that was also full of just random comedy parts and other things that none of it seemed to fit, and that just the script just seemed wrong. It was a very well-made, directed, and thought-out movie with just probably the worst script possible, at least in my opinion. We'll go into more details as we go on, but just...
I mean, I understand where you're coming from. It gets a little ridiculous and crazy, but I think that was just it was necessary for what it was trying to be.
What was it trying to be?
A whimsical monster movie.
What did it want to be?
My argument with that is that it starts off that way, and then it tries to go into the downsides of cloning and then animal trafficking, and
it got pretty dark.
Yeah, big spoilers. A man is suffocated in his bed.
Yes.
But with you see that big phone on that big pillow that's not super suspicious? Bring that phone to me so you can call the police on yourself.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense. And then that man is murdered, and then his granddaughter has to find his dead body, and then 2 minutes later you see the kid with glasses slip on some water and you're supposed to laugh. And it's the mismatch of tones there is what throws me the most for a loop.
It was a little... It took a lot of turns, I think, and I think some of those, comedic moments were there to kind of, take the edge off a little bit of, darker stuff, because sitting there in the theater, like, Zach and I were the only ones there. There was some younger kids in front of us, and then, like, a family behind us with, like, some young kids. So I think, like, even if the moments were a little bit awkward with the comedy, it just helped take the edge off a little bit, I feel.
Okay.
And I also think too that the gravity of like that specific scene as well was intentionally undercut by having the implication as well. So like he takes the pillow and turns around, but you don't see anything. Like you as a fully formed adult, you understand the implications of that.
I know I understand the implications of it. I also see a child going like, what's happening to that old man? And then the next scene I see a Pachycephalosaurus headbutting its way through a wall. And I'm like, okay, so we've gone from Schindler's List to a Marx Brothers movie in 2 seconds. And then it's frustrating to get those things. And then also scenes that are supposed to be pure horror. When Buffalo Bill goes in and tries to take the dinosaur's teeth.
Yeah.
Mostly because I already forgot that guy's name and I just saw the movie last week. And the Indoraptor looks directly at the camera, smiles, and then lifts up and attacks him. And it's like, who is that for? And there's another part where Blue cries. Yes. Let me tell you something.
He got a bullet taken out of him.
That was the one part that I was going to bring
Birds
up too.
and reptiles do not cry.
This is a genetically modified reptilian that feels emotions.
Him cry?
Yeah.
They made him cry.
Because Chris Pratt was there and he was raising him into an emotional...
And the thing with the smiling, it's more like that's where he rested his head there. Like, and it just so happened like that was like the framing of where the shot was, and he kept like moving his tail up for him to look at and put it down.
There are methods of showing that a dinosaur is happy or that it's... you could already tell that it was scheming. We did not need the Joker grin.
But here's why we did.
Do you know how he got those scars?
They needed it. They needed it in the movie, and here's why. Because like the fact that they talked about like how hyper intelligent this thing was, I think that was just to kind of show like that side of it a little bit.
Okay.
And he doesn't look at his camera. His eyes are naturally affixed to the side of his head, so it only looks like he's looking at the camera.
Speaking of hyper intelligence, I would argue that every single person involved in it, not with the script, not movie making, in the movie, is an idiot. Because every single person, the guy who's on a phone, he's like, we're on the dinosaur island. What are you trying to tell me? As there's clearly a dinosaur. You're a man on a dinosaur island. Buffalo Bill keeps trying to take these teeth for no real reason.
They're trophies.
The computer hacker opens a door.
No, the teeth was DNA, right?
For him, they were trophies.
For him, they were trophies.
Oh,
for everyone
really?
else, it was DNA.
Oh, that's so twisted.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
The computer hacker kid opens the door, doesn't close the door. Also, they already had an exit, which you could see because 2 seconds later they go out the exit.
But who thinks of the ladder first? You always think of the door first.
That's who thinks of the ladder. The person who's sitting here yelling at all these people that are going in there. And then also, probably the biggest spoiler of the movie. Okay, so the clone girl.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
that's big.
I will never do this ever again. Shout out to Tomas, who 15 minutes into the movie goes, oh, she's a clone, right? And I was like, the movie's not going to do that. That'd be ridiculous. But here's where we are. That scene where it is revealed after it's already been alluded to several times.
Yeah.
It doesn't, there's no point to it.
Yeah.
Because the guy goes, okay, you don't want her. You don't know what she is. And Chris Pratt would probably be like, get out of my way. I'm leaving. There are dinosaurs here. But instead he stands there while he goes, okay, we're in a rush, but I'll listen to you. And then he says, she's a clone. She's what's-his-face's daughter. And it's like, okay, so she's the daughter, she's the clone of the dead daughter of Hammond's friend who's never mentioned in anything else.
They could have developed that side of the plot to integrate a little better with like all the main events of the film, and they did not do that.
I do think with Jeff Goldblum, Dr. Malcolm, excuse me, bookending it with beginning it talking about the genetic, like what the possibility of the future is with genetics, and then the after with the same thing. It's like now we live in Jurassic World. Great use of the title.
Okay.
And then like that. The larger picture here, and again, I know this is a dinosaur monster movie, but they're trying to be like, look how 22nd century we are with this whole idea of, like this is the possibility of genetic manipulation.
But I like that in Jurassic World where they talked about how, dinosaurs aren't enough anymore. But in this movie, it just kind of felt like, okay, we need something else because people are getting bored of dinosaurs, which clearly isn't the case because these movies are making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But it's
This is why you go to these movies, to see dinosaurs.
But it gets to the point of silliness because I don't understand why they're introducing this 15 minutes before the movie ends, and they do nothing with it other than to have her say, they're not so different, they're like me. No, bitch, you can't kill a whole town because you're a 4-foot tall little girl and you're not a Pachycephalosaurus.
That part I felt was honestly a little corny where she was just like, oh, like, I'm alive and so are they, and it's like...
She's also a 10-year-old girl coming to the understanding that she is a clone.
Okay, so if you were a 10-year-old and you're told a clone, you immediately have the philosophical thought of, I think, therefore I am, the dinosaurs are like me. I must hit this button. Also, back to the stupid characters, they just left the button unattended. They were like, we're not hitting it. Let's stare out this window,
Gwen. The adults already made the decision to cover it. They didn't expect the girl. Obviously, the audience is like, oh, the girl's going to hit it.
Yeah.
But not the adults had made the decision. I really am going to stand up for this girl because I think that, again, it is a large jump. I don't think it's a deep philosophical thing. It's like, oh, I get them. It's the fact that she has just learned new information and the pure heart of a child wanting to help something that she feels remotely close to and just life itself. That's why she made the decision.
After she was almost killed by the Indoraptor several minutes earlier,
she didn't remember that.
Her grandfather, her dad basically, was killed on account of dinosaurs. Everything that has gone wrong has to do with the fact that dinosaurs exist, and you can finally be rid of them, and then probably understand the feelings of a normal life, but instead let me Planet of the Apes us and set these horrible monsters free.
This is what I'm going to tell you. Life finds a way. And chaos.
So you're going to quote that line. I'm going to quote the line from the first one that Ian Malcolm also said, which was, you looked at all the things that you could do and you never stopped and said, should I do them? And I'm butchering the line.
As he already said, though, we're already past that point. We've already done those things. So now we're past that point.
Clearly it doesn't work. This is the third time they've tried to bring things elsewhere. It doesn't make any sense that this would keep going. I could understand it for Jurassic World because they were like, we got the park, it's self-contained, it's working. Yeah. Also, brilliant move building it next to a volcano. Which
it was dormant at the time.
Alright, so I'm being pretty harsh on it. I'd like to go into more positive stuff because this has mostly just been arguing. I just want to mention one more thing. So you're aiming a gun at a person, correct?
Yes.
You would shoot the person, right?
Uh-huh.
You would not hit the laser beam button and then hit the activate button that causes a dinosaur to run past you and then kill the person. You just shoot them with the gun, right?
Yeah.
Or at that point, have it just be flashlight can do it. Or normal laser, or just have like a drone be like, hey, marker this spot.
That's
which
what
they've already mentioned tracker technology in the previous movie,
yet
they're like, look at this. If you aim a gun at a man, a dinosaur can kill it.
Here's also the thing, though. Like, that freaking Indoraptor thing is designed to kill and take out probably like a squad of people. Like, that could be sent in... Think about it. They armor that thing up, and then they send it at a group of, like, army people.
And I do get that, but you have to aim a gun at that group
It
first.
could be any kind of thermal target.
Then why did they not just say... They said, take this specific AR-15 with these 8 attachments on it.
It wasn't personal enough, you know? They wanted something that you could point like a tiny laser at.
You can't fly a $30 million drone around it.
And think about it, like, when you're,
just spend $50 million on a dinosaur.
He was worth $40 million at best.
When you have, like, one of those lasers and you're playing with your pet, like, that's the same thing. That's what they wanted.
It's like a little cat going at it.
So that's the last huge thing. But yeah, okay. Now that I've gotten my main issues out of my system, do we want to just go through positives? If you want to start, Dan, then we can just work our way back across like this.
Yeah, like I said before, like, I really liked this film because it kind of brought me back to, like, the older ones, I think. Maybe... And it also, like, it just kind of threw us right into the action, and I was, like, glued to the screen for that. I was like, okay, this is good.
And I think, like, most of the points that, like, you're not too thrilled about are kind of, like, what made... Because I was coming in, I think, very, like, in it from a very uncritical perspective, where I just was like, oh, I'm going to go see another dino movie or whatever. And, like, I think a lot of the points you bring up are entirely valid. The thing is that at some point, I guess oh my god, I'm forgetting the term. When you just buy into the premise or whatever that is. I just kind of bought into it. Like, okay, this is
suspension of disbelief.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Like, I just kind of bought into that whole idea, and that's why I enjoyed the film. Because if you're going into this film to enjoy a dinosaur monster movie thing, and you're not going to be thinking about the implications of genetic processes. Or
Then don't bring it up. Sorry. Sorry.
Yes, but the whole that's their whole larger narrative. That's their one little fish hook to the real world to be like, hey, listen, if we ever get this power, don't abuse it. I really think that's what the whole point is for the larger impact of the film. And I don't think once we get this power in the real world, the first thing is going to be dinosaurs, finally. And we can thank Jurassic Park for that.
Yeah, and to bounce off that, that's the whole reason, they showed the little girl, Macy, looking at the video of Chris Pratt, training the dinosaur and whatnot. She was like, oh, okay, wow, they have feelings.
They have feelings, and they cry if they're really sad.
We're not talking about that. But, okay, so... another thing, one thing that I really liked is, despite thinking that the opening was ridiculous, I was laughing my ass off when it ended, because I was so happy that they were like, this is where we're going with the movie. If the whole thing had just been at a 10, if it was just Mad Max with dinosaurs or something, which is what the third one might be at this point,
that would be pretty cool.
I think I would have been a little bit more into it, but it was very clever, everything they did with the dinosaurs. Using the Pachycephalosaurus as a headbutt, using the Mesosaur as in the beginning it's like Jaws, where you just see the people searching around, and then you just get the silhouette of the monster from the lightning, and that was really gorgeous. That. And just the stuff that they did with the dinosaurs, whether it just be the horror implements, what they did with just the sound and lighting, and just the way the Indoraptor opened up the building and gone into the room.
I wanted to talk about that too. The nods, the first film when you have the girl in the dumbwaiter thing, closing it down.
Exactly.
That stuff I really, because that's that's a nod.
The nostalgia
to
stuff
watching it.
Was a lot more subtle
Yes.
than in Jurassic World, where it was look at this, you saw this, look at it.
Feel
and
something.
And I really like that. And this J.A. Bayona, I believe, is the director. I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, but I only know him from one other movie I've ever seen, which is The Orphanage, which is, it's a Guillermo del Toro produced movie about a little boy in an orphanage, and then they befriend a person who ends up being a dead thing. It's a horror movie.
Okay, alright.
And I thought the horror elements of this were splendid. Specifically, I didn't like the Indoraptor that much, and I really didn't like the way they final battle thing. But I loved just the visuals of it wrapped around a spire and then just crawling through windows and doing that. It was super gothic horror. It reminded me of a vampire movie or something. Except instead of a vampire, it's a 75-foot tall dinosaur.
And even the estate that they chose to film that on, when the Indoraptor's creeping down the scene into the girl's bedroom, and the camera just spins
goes
around.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
If nothing else, the movie is beautifully shot.
Yes.
And that cannot be stressed enough. And that's, I think, what frustrates me a little more is why it's so good looking, but there's nothing to it, for me at least.
It's good, and that, you're gonna see this film no matter what. I think, if you're remotely interested, you're gonna go see it, and you're gonna enjoy it. You're only gonna come across really. And
if you really liked it, you could buy their merchandise.
Exactly.
Thanks to our non-official sponsor, Jurassic World.
But it was definitely a great film. So I whether I would just highly recommend it. Just go and see it and enjoy yourself.
It's an everybody film, I'd say. You can watch this and have a good time.
But, anything more to add with that, or just,
I think it was good, right? Those are our final thoughts?
Yeah, those are our final thoughts. I feel like we're missing something.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, maybe we are. A connection to a particular movie, perhaps?
A connection to a movie?
Yeah, the one that has some sort of symbols or signs?
Signs? Well,
well,
every single time it's the same thing. Well, if we think about it this way, yeah, but let's think about this one for just a quick second. Go over in our head. I'm not stalling because I didn't think about this at all beforehand. Well, if we think about this movie, Chris Pratt was in it.
Yes, he was.
Chris Pratt. You know what? Screw that one. I'm doing a different one. Jeff Goldblum was in this one.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum was in the original Jurassic Park.
Yes, he was.
With one Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson was in a movie in the early 2000s with Bruce Willis. And that movie was called Unbreakable.
Okay.
Yep. And Who directed that movie? Was it M. Night Shyamalan?
Perhaps. Did he also direct Signs?
He directed Signs.
Oh, wow.
Signs, Sealed, Delivered. It's Signs.
We're back. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.